On May 18, 1983, a cyclist was pedaling along one of the most remote roads in New Jersey when something caught his attention on the side of the road. It wasn't trash. It wasn't an injured animal. It was a human body, being devoured by vultures. But what the forensic experts discovered during the autopsy proved to be far more disturbing than the gruesome find itself. In the veins of the corpse, they found something impossible: ice crystals. The man had been frozen after he died. This isn't just another rural New Jersey road. Clinton Road stretches for over 10 miles in near total darkness, where for decades people have reported encounters that defy explanation. Ghostly children returning coins. Pickup trucks appearing out of nowhere and vanishing into thin air. Creatures that shouldn't exist. And amidst it all, a serial killer who found the perfect spot to dispose of his victims. But what is real and what is legend? Can a place accumulate so much tragedy that it becomes something else? Today we're going to investigate the full story behind the road that has been ranked as the #1 most haunted road in the world. Welcome to Clinton Road. If you look up Clinton Road on any list of haunted places in the United States, it doesn't just appear, it tops the list. International car rental companies, paranormal TV shows, and magazines all agree on one thing: this road is different. Aerial view of Clinton Road winding through dense forests. Clinton Road stretches for approximately 10 miles through Passaic County, in West Milford, New Jersey. It connects Route 23 near Newfoundland with Upper Greenwood Lake to the north. It is a narrow, poorly maintained, two-lane road, surrounded almost entirely by undeveloped public land, a state forest and a protected watershed. In other words, kilometers of absolute darkness. There are no streetlights. The houses are few and far between. The cell phone signal is intermittent. And at night, if your car breaks down here, you're completely alone. But what makes Clinton Road special isn't just its isolation. It's the accumulation of stories. Legends that date back to colonial times, when these woods already had a reputation for being inhabited by more than just wild animals. Ruins of 19th-century structures that seem straight out of a Gothic nightmare. An abandoned theme park where wild animals supposedly roamed. And real, documented crimes that would make this place the perfect setting for any thriller. Weird NJ magazine, which has documented the strange and mysterious in the state for decades, dedicated an entire issue to this trail. Paranormal investigators visit it regularly. And thousands of people, especially thrill-seeking youngsters, dare to hike it every year, particularly around Halloween. But the residents who live there are fed up. Fed up with the noise, the honking horns, the ghost hunters, and the stories that have turned their quiet country lane into a nightly circus. So what's really going on Clinton Road? To understand it, we need to start at the beginning. With the true history of this place, before the legends consumed everything. The story of Clinton Road begins long before it had that name. During the American Revolution, these woods already had a sinister reputation. In 1905, historian J. Percy Crayon wrote something revealing about this area. Text on screen. In the days of the Revolution, these forests were infested with gangs of thieves and counterfeiters, and true believers in witches and ghosts claimed that their deceased spirits were more terrible to encounter than wild animals and Indians. Think about that. This place has been scary for over 200 years. The road gets its name from the original Clinton settlement, which was located where the road crosses the creek. And that settlement existed for a reason: the iron industry. In 1826, an entrepreneur named William Jackson built the Clinton Furnace, an iron smelting furnace that took advantage of the area's natural resources. For more than 2 decades, from 1833 to 1852, this site was a center of iron production for the region. Diagram of how a 19th-century smelting furnace worked. Today, all that remains is a conical stone structure, overgrown with vegetation, that looks like something out of a Gothic horror story. The structure was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1976. But here's where things get interesting. For years, people believed this structure was a Druidic temple where satanic rituals were performed. Readers of Weird NJ reported that horrible things could happen to any intruder who arrived at the wrong time. Lighter tone. It turned out to be a 19th-century industrial oven. But the legend persisted because, let's be honest, it looks unsettling. If Clinton Furnace seemed like something out of a horror story, Cross Castle definitely was. In 1905, Richard James Cross, an English banker and railway official, decided to build something extraordinary for his family. Not just a summer house. A castle. A massive Tudor-style stone mansion in the uplands near the reservoir, complete with towers, thick walls, and all the Gothic aesthetics you could imagine. Cross died in 1917. His family sold the property to the city of Newark in 1919 to protect the watershed. And that's where the story takes a truly dark turn. The castle was abandoned. For decades it became a magnet for adventurers, vandals, and according to legends, something much worse. People reported strange things. People having inexplicable seizures inside the ruins. Bruises appearing on their bodies after visiting the site. Disturbing visions. And most unsettling, writing on the interior walls, in supposedly inaccessible areas, suggesting satanic rituals. A fire eventually consumed much of the wooden structure. In 1988, the Newark Water Department decided enough was enough and demolished what remained, citing it as an attractive nuisance. But the foundations are still there. And people still visit them. Now, if you think Cross Castle sounds like a bad idea, let me introduce you to jungle habitat. In 1972, at the height of the experimental theme park era, Warner Brothers had a brilliant idea: why not open an African safari, in New Jersey? Yeah. Jungle habitat was home to more than 1,500 wild animals. Lions. Tigers. Elephants. Zebras. And the best part, visitors could drive their own cars through fields where these animals roamed freely. What could possibly go wrong? October 9, 1972, just months after opening, an Israeli tourist is attacked by a lion while riding in a taxi. November 1972, 2 wolves escape from their enclosure. They are captured before leaving the property. This time. July 8, 1974, a baby elephant extends its trunk outside its enclosure and bites a woman. She is eventually awarded $200,000 for her injuries. Local residents were fed up with the traffic, the noise, and apparently, the occasional escaped wild animals. Warner Brothers wanted to expand, adding amusement park attractions. The people of West Milford said no. With no hope of additional revenue, Warner Brothers closed the park in 1976. Just 4 years in operation. Now, here's the important part: all the animals were sold. There are records. They went to zoos, private buyers, other parks. This is a documented fact. But legends don't need facts. Soon, people began reporting strange creatures on Clinton Road. Unidentifiable hybrids. An albino hell dog. Wild monkeys. A mysterious wolfie. The truth? Probably coyotes, wild dogs, raccoons. But when you're driving alone on a completely dark road at midnight and you see glowing eyes among the trees, your brain doesn't think about raccoons. Now that we understand the true story of Clinton Road, let's talk about the legends. Because this is where things get really strange. The most famous legend of Clinton Road is probably that of the ghost child. According to the story, if you drive to one of the bridges over Clinton Brook, specifically the one at Dead Man's Curve, at midnight, you can take a test. Get out of the car. Place a coin in the middle of the bridge. Wait. The coin will be returned by the ghost of a child who supposedly drowned in the stream, or fell off the bridge, depending on which version you hear. But there's another, darker version. This one says that a little boy was hit by a car when he got out to pick up a coin he saw on the ground. Now, if you get out and stand on the bridge, you'll see a coin fall. And if you bend down to pick it up, the boy will push you toward the lake. To save you from being run over like him. Here's the fascinating part: nobody knows which bridge is the right one. There are multiple bridges on Clinton Road. One at Dead Man's Curve. Another several miles south, near the old iron furnace. The editors of Weird NJ visited the bridge at Dead Man's Curve a few years ago and reported something curious. When they looked over the railing into the tea-colored water of the creek, they could clearly see dozens of coins resting on the bottom among the stones. Dozens. So, have people actually experienced anything? Or is it a massive case of autosuggestion? Let me read you a real testimony. We went at midnight. I placed the coin exactly in the middle. We waited 5 minutes. Nothing. We were about to leave when we heard a metallic clink. The coin had rolled toward the railing. There was no wind. The bridge is completely flat. Ghosts? The vibration of a passing car? Someone hiding and playing a prank? We don't know. What we do know is that there is no historical record of any child drowning or being run over on these bridges. The legend exists, but the original event cannot be verified. If you ask locals what the scariest thing about Clinton Road is, many will mention the same thing, the lights. According to countless testimonies, if you drive on Clinton Road at night, especially after midnight, you may be chased by vehicles that literally appear out of nowhere. The Travel Channel program Most Terrifying Places in America documented these stories. Pickup trucks. SUVs. Or sometimes just floating headlights, not connected to any visible vehicle. Let me read you one of the more specific testimonials. A pickup truck, which appeared to have the headlights of an excursion, came out of nowhere. We were looking back the whole time to see if this was going to happen. It accelerated and stayed on top of us for the entire 10 miles. It literally tried to run us off the road. At the end of the road, the truck disappeared right before our eyes. There are dozens of stories like this. Different years, different witnesses, but similar patterns. They appear suddenly. They drive aggressively, almost pushing you off the road. They disappear in places where they shouldn't be able to. Skeptics have logical explanations. Optical illusions caused by headlights around sharp curves. Reflections in the fog. Local pranksters who know the road better than visitors and use side roads to disappear. But believers respond, the lights behave in ways that real vehicles do not. One of the more specific legends involves a young woman who supposedly died in 1988 when she crashed her Camaro on Clinton Road. According to Weird NJ readers, mentioning the accident while driving down the road at night can trigger a manifestation. A phantom Camaro will appear, driven by the girl, reenacting her final moments. I've searched for records of this accident. There's nothing verifiable. No public police report, no obituary that matches this description. But the legend persists, complete with the specific year, the type of car, and the rules for invoking it. This is what makes urban legends so fascinating. The specific details, a Camaro, a 1988, a little girl, lend them credibility. They sound real. But when you try to verify them, the story vanishes like a ghost. Before we continue, we need to pause and ask ourselves, why has Clinton Road become this magnet for supernatural stories? A local police chief summed it up perfectly. It's a long, desolate stretch, and it makes your imagination run wild. Think about it. You're driving alone, at midnight, for 10 miles in total darkness. There are no streetlights. No houses. The cell signal is intermittent. Trees loom over you from both sides. And you know the stories. Your brain is on high alert. Every shadow is movement. Every reflection is a phantom light. Every creak of the car is something more. This is called perceptual expectation. Your brain sees what it expects to see. But here's the tricky part, that doesn't mean it's all just imagination. Because Clinton Road isn't just urban legends. Real crimes. Documented. Horrifying. And that changes everything. May 18, 1983. A cyclist is pedaling along a wooded section of Clinton Road when he notices something strange about the vegetation. There are vultures. Lots of vultures. And they're feeding on something. It's coming. It is a human body, wrapped in a green garbage bag, being devoured. The police arrive. The body is taken for autopsy. And this is where the case takes a turn no one expected. Dr. Geeta Natrajan, a medical examiner from New Jersey, performs the examination. There is a ligature mark around the neck. The man was strangled. But she also notices something strange, a pinkish lividity around the shoulder and chest that could indicate carbon monoxide poisoning. In the jeans pocket, he finds a wallet with motel receipts and family photographs. But the real shock comes when he examines the veins. Ice crystals. The man hadn't been murdered recently. He had died days before, possibly weeks. His body had been frozen to make the date of death appear more recent. The victim is identified as Daniel Deppner. But his death is not an isolated case. It's part of something much bigger. Something that would eventually lead investigators to one of the coldest serial killers, literally and figuratively, in American criminal history. Richard Leonard Kuklinski was born on April 11, 1935, in Jersey City, New Jersey. His childhood was a catalogue of horrors, a violent father, an abusive mother, and extreme poverty. At age 14 he committed his first murder. He beat to death the leader of a gang who had bullied him. It wouldn't be the last one. For the next 4 decades, Kuklinski would become a hitman for the mafia. But he also killed for pleasure, out of anger, and sometimes, just because he could. His preferred methods were varied: strangulation, cyanide poisoning, shooting, and his signature technique, freezing the bodies to confuse forensic experts about the time of death. Hence the nickname, the Iceman. For years, Kuklinski operated with impunity. He seemed like a normal family man in suburban New Jersey. 2 daughters, a wife, a seemingly ordinary life. But the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, ATF, had been building a case. Undercover agents infiltrated his network, posing as gun buyers and potential accomplices. December 17, 1986. Richard Kuklinski is arrested by undercover agents at a truck stop off the New Jersey Turnpike, marking the culmination of Operation Iceman. During interrogations, Kuklinski confessed to multiple murders. But what was disturbing was not only how many he had killed, estimates range from 5 to over 100, but how he spoke about them. With complete indifference. As if he were discussing the weather. In March 1988, Kuklinski was found guilty of murdering Daniel Deppner and Gary Smith. The jury could not prove premeditation to the level required for the death penalty, so he received a life sentence. He later pleaded guilty to murdering Louis Mosquet and George Malaband as part of a plea deal. But here's the crucial connection: Clinton Road became one of their favorite places to dispose of bodies. Because? For the same reasons that make it a perfect place for urban legends. Total isolation. Complete darkness at night. Little police presence. Dense forests where a body might not be found for months. Clinton Road wasn't haunted by ghosts. It was haunted by real crimes. Richard Kuklinski died in prison on March 5, 2006, at the age of 70, of natural causes. But its shadow still looms over Clinton Road to this day. Think about the irony. For years, people visited Clinton Road looking for ghosts, paranormal phenomena, supernatural thrills. And all the while, the real terror was completely human. A man who froze corpses. Who dumped bodies in remote forests. Who lived a double life so convincing that his own family had no idea who he really was. Does that make paranormal legends less believable? Or more? Because now we know that Clinton Road is a place where horrible things happened. Where violence left a real mark. The question is, did that violence also leave a mark, of another kind? Despite, or perhaps because of, the criminal history of the place, Clinton Road has become a must-see destination for paranormal investigators. Dina Kiriko, head of the Northern New Jersey Ghost Hunters Society, is just one of dozens of researchers who have brought sophisticated equipment to Clinton Road. EVP recorders for capturing electronic voice phenomena. Electromagnetic field detectors that supposedly react to spiritual presences. Thermal cameras. Night vision cameras. Have they found anything? It depends on who you ask. Believers point to anomalies in the recordings, unexplained fluctuations in electromagnetic fields, and voices appearing in the audio that no one heard at the time. skeptics point out that EVP recorders can pick up radio interference. Electromagnetic fields naturally fluctuate, especially near power lines or electronic equipment. The human brain is extraordinarily good at finding patterns where there are none, including voices in random noise. Clinton Road has been featured in Most Terrifying Places in America, Travel Channel. Paranormal Caught on Camera. Countless YouTube videos of amateur ghost hunters. In 2024, the car rental company Sexty.com created a ranking of the most haunted roads in the world. Clinton Road came in at number 1. Surpassing places in Romania, Scotland, and Japan, places with centuries more history. Because? Here's my theory on why Clinton Road has become so legendary. First, it has a verifiable basis in truth. It's not just vague folklore. There are documented crimes. There are real ruins. There is verifiable history. Second, it has variety. It's not just one legend. It's dozens of different legends, all in the same place. Ghost children, spectral vehicles, creatures, satanic rituals, cursed castles, serial killers, it's a buffet of the macabre. Third, it's accessible. You don't need to travel to Transylvania or a remote village in Japan. It's less than an hour from Manhattan. Fourth, the experience is immersive. It's not an abandoned building you look at from the outside. It's a path you traverse, preferably alone, at night, for 10 miles of total darkness. When you combine all these elements, you get the perfect storm for a modern urban legend. But there are real victims of all this attention, the people who live there. Kim and Paul McKinnon, residents of Clinton Road, went to the media in 2019 completely exhausted. Teenagers speeding. Horns blaring at 3 a.m. People loitering on their property. Trash left by paranormal investigators. If the ghosts won't make you leave, the ghost hunters will. For them, Clinton Road isn't a spooky destination. It's their home. And it's been invaded by a circus they can't stop. It's an important reminder, behind every urban legend are real people whose lives are affected by our fascination with the unknown. So, after all this investigation, all this history, all these testimonies, what is really going on Clinton Road? Let's look at the different explanations honestly and fairly. Theory 1, Genuine paranormal phenomena. Arguments in favor. First, the number of testimonies. We're not talking about one or two people. There are hundreds of reports, spanning decades, from people who don't know each other. Second, the consistency of certain patterns. The lights that follow you. The boy on the bridge. The feeling of being watched. Similar reports from different eras. Third, the traumatic history of the place. If there is such a thing as residual energy or psychic imprint, a place where multiple murders were committed would be a perfect candidate. Fourth, some researchers with sophisticated equipment have captured anomalies that they cannot easily explain. Weak points. Verifiable physical evidence is virtually non-existent. No photograph or video has withstood serious skeptical analysis. EVP recordings are, at best, ambiguous. EMF detectors react to countless natural and artificial sources. And most importantly, many of the specific events in the legends, the drowning of the child, the Camaro accident, have no historical documentation. Theory 2, Psychological phenomena and suggestion. Arguments in favor. Psychologists have extensively studied how context affects perception. When we enter a place with a reputation for being haunted, our brain goes into hyper-alert mode. Infrasound, sound frequencies below the human audible range can cause feelings of discomfort, anxiety, and even the sensation of a presence. Natural sources. Wind through structures, ground vibrations, running water. Pareidolia, our evolutionary tendency to see patterns, especially faces, where none exist. In darkness, with limited light, this is amplified. Perceptual expectation, if you expect to see something, your brain will help. It will interpret ambiguous stimuli in a way that confirms your expectations. Reconstructive memory, especially in stressful or frightening situations, our memories are notoriously unreliable. We may remember events that our brain reconstructed after the fact. Combine all of this with total darkness, isolation, prior knowledge of the legends, possibly alcohol. Let's be honest, many night owls are drinking. And you get the perfect recipe for experiences that feel completely real but have mundane explanations. Weak points. This doesn't explain all cases. Especially those where multiple sober witnesses experience the same thing simultaneously. Or cases where people unfamiliar with the legends report experiences that match established patterns. Theory 3, Specific Rational Explanations. Let's look at the specific legends. The boy on the bridge. Coins can roll due to vehicle vibration. Hidden local pranksters. Selective confirmation. People remember when the coin moves, forget the dozens of times nothing happened. The chase lights. Optical illusion of headlights on tight curves. Reflections in fog or mist. Local pranksters who know side roads and can appear and disappear. Possibly drones in recent years. Strange creatures. Common wildlife, coyotes, raccoons, deer, seen in low light conditions. Wild dogs. Black bears, common in New Jersey. Impressions in Cross Castle. Wind infrasound through open structures. Hallucinogenic mushrooms that grow in damp ruins. Carbon monoxide from campfires in semi-enclosed spaces. Weak points. Explaining each phenomenon individually doesn't explain why this specific place has accumulated so many stories. There are thousands of dark rural roads in the United States. Why this one? Theory 4, Cultural Amplification and Media. There is one last theory that is rarely discussed, the role of media and culture in creating the phenomenon. Weird NJ magazine has existed since 1989. For over 3 decades, it has documented, published, and amplified stories from Clinton Road. Each item creates more visitors looking for experiences. More reported experiences, real or imagined. More articles documenting those experiences. Infinite feedback loop. Paranormal television programs need content. They need evidence. And Clinton Road delivers it, because now thousands of people visit it specifically looking for strange things. Clinton Road may be no more paranormally active than any other rural road. It's possible that it's simply being more observed. More cameras. More witnesses. More people actively looking for anomalies. And when enough people search long enough, they find something, even if it's just random noise that they interpret as a signal. So what is Clinton Road really? It's a 10-mile road in New Jersey. That's objectively true. It has a verifiable history, 19th century industry, an abandoned castle, a failed theme park, and yes, it was the disposal site for a serial killer. It also has hundreds of testimonies from people who swore they experienced something inexplicable there. Here's what I've learned after thoroughly investigating this case. First, the line between urban legend and true story is much more blurred than we'd like to admit. Clinton Road is a place where horrific things happened. That reality seeps into how we experience the place. Second, human fear is powerful. We don't need supernatural phenomena to feel genuine terror. Darkness, isolation, knowledge of past violence, that's enough. Third, the absence of an explanation is not evidence of the paranormal. I don't know what I saw is not the same as, I definitely saw a ghost. Intellectual honesty requires that we live with uncertainty. But fourth, we also can't dismiss all experiences simply because we prefer a rational explanation. Thousands of people have reported strange things. Are they all being deceived? Are they lying? Or is there something about certain places that we don't fully understand? Personally, I find Clinton Road fascinating precisely because I cannot give a definitive answer. If I were to tell you, it's all real, it's haunted, I would be ignoring all the rational explanations that clearly explain many phenomena. If I were to say, it's all psychology and autosuggestion, I would be being unfair to people who had genuine experiences that they cannot explain. The truth, as is almost always the case, is probably somewhere in between. Clinton Road is a reminder that the world is stranger and more complex than our simple explanations can capture. It's a place where the real history is so unsettling that it hardly needs ghosts. It is a place where human psychology, cultural context, and possibly something we don't fully understand, meet. If you decide to visit, and many will after watching this video, do so with respect. Respect for the residents who live there. Respect for the actual victims of crimes that occurred there. And respect for the mystery itself. Because in the end, maybe it's not about solving the mystery. Perhaps it's about recognizing that we live in a universe where there is still room for the unknown. And that, in itself, is something extraordinary. What do you think? Is Clinton Road genuinely paranormal, or is it a perfect example of how urban legends are built upon fragments of truth? Leave your opinion in the comments. I love reading alternative theories or if anyone has visited the place in person. If you enjoyed this in-depth investigation, please consider liking and subscribing. I'm creating a full series exploring the world's most fascinating paranormal cases, always with the same approach, verifiable facts, multiple perspectives, and no easy conclusions. The next episode will be about. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Clinton Road. And remember, sometimes, reality is stranger than any ghost.